Stop giving your money to woke corporations that hate you and your values. That's why I order all my man's shaving products from Jeremy Razors. Order your Precision 5 starter set today. This set comes with 4 razor blades, sharp as true, with tungsten handle and flip back trimmer. You're not in the market for razors? Jeremy Razors also has other facial products fit just for men. So you don't have to stock your bathroom with products that clean your body but stains your conscience. So shut up and shave. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use cburns15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code cburns15 to save 15% off. Okay, welcome back, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. I had to pay a few bills, so thank you, Jeremy Razors. I put the link in the description. Yeah, get that money. I put the link into the description section in case y'all want to sign up for that. You'll save 15% off. You guys, I want to talk about this because our last video, I brought it to everyone's attention that who will be responsible for people, or really we were talking about kids, Black kids, bad behavior. Okay. And I got a lot of slack from that video. They said I was working for the man. One person called me ignorant, because I don't really support the reparations thing. I think it's a bunch of waste of time. None of us were slaves. I think your reparations, if you work hard, you get your own reparations. Education is free. And there's a lot of services out here. You could get a skilled trade for free. I'm married to a man that doesn't even have a degree, and he has a skilled trade, and he makes well over 6 figures. So I think if you put the work in yourself, you get your own reparations. But anyway, long story short, another Twitter feed came across my Twitter feed. We have this Black woman. I think she's African descent. She had a Black or African name, and she snatches the microphone from the professor at the graduation services. And I wonder, would you hire this girl? If you had a company, would you hire this girl? And another question I would like to ask you guys. Okay, who could call out this BS? You get mad at white people for calling out the crap that some Black people do. Not all Black people. We don't want to stereotype all Black people in one lump. But you get mad at the white person for calling you out for some BS. But you also get mad at the Black person that call you out on your same bullshit, the same degenerate attitude or act of violence or whatever behavior you have in the community. You're wreaking havoc in the community. So you get mad at the other Black people for calling you out on your bullshit. So who could call you out? Nobody? We just supposed to just ignore it? Like, oh, they had a bad life. They had bad parenting, so we just got to ignore it. No, I think it's a bunch of bullshit, and I think we should hold each other accountable. And that's why the state of our community is in the way it's in, because for the longest time, we had the non-snitch code, or snitches get stitches. We don't like to call people out. So let me share this with you. And then we're going to talk about it because another video, the girl actually explained herself. And I want to get your take on it to see if you actually agree with her, what actually happened to her, if you agree with her excuse. So, and you see, this is on Twitter. I mean, TikTok. And the only reason why I pulled this one up, I got a Twitter one, but only reason why I want to pull this one up is because someone from I don't know what Twitter account this is. Let me see. Black Culture News. This Twitter account is from Black Culture News. And reason why I wanted to pull this one up is because I need everyone to congratulate this queen. We celebrate this nonsense. So let me play it for you and tell me if we should be celebrating this.
Okay. Let go. You didn't let me get my moment, so I want to say my name is Khadijata Diallo, and I'm graduating today. I don't like how you snatched the mic out of my hand, so today is going to be all about me.
Oh, drops the mic. Congratulations!
And you see the person that was filming. Oh, she dropped the mic. Congratulations. Congratulations, queen. And then all on Black Twitter, we see did I pull it up? Let me share this tab instead. All on Twitter, we see we need to protect this queen. We won't apologize. Well, actually, she's this person is saying, yeah, won't apologize because she's narcissistic and feels like the rules don't apply with her. You get, oh no, she looks like she don't have time for the foolishness. And she's saying, I felt like I had to reclaim my moment. And then she says, to everyone, I'm saying I should be embarrassed or I'll never get a job. Would you hire this girl? Would you hire this girl? White Sox Tom said nobody will hire her after that, what she did. No, nobody's going to hire her. She looked like a damn fool. But am I wrong for calling that out? Am I wrong for calling that out? I'm wrong because I got a YouTube channel, and sometimes I talk about business, sometimes I talk about politics and the bullshit that or the narrative that they push in the media. And just because I don't agree with your narrative, that's being ignorant because I don't agree with the majority narrative, or I wouldn't even say it was majority. I think a decent human being would think this is very ignorant, a very ignorant thing to do. Very ignorant thing to do. Saying she cut my time off.
You didn't let me get my moment, so I want to say my name is Khadijata Diallo, and I'm graduating today. I don't like how you snatched the mic out of my hand, so today is going to be all about me.
Oh, drops the mic.
And she thinks she's going to get a job. This is her. This young lady, so she decided, okay, I need to explain myself. And this is her explanation of why she did what she did.
So here's my story time. Basically, what happened was I was walking on, and we had to announce our names and say our name before we get on the stage. So I was saying my name, and she literally, my name is long. My name, obviously, I have like 3 syllables in my name. I'm not gonna say exactly my name right now, but okay, just so you get a point. So I didn't even finish getting to say my name. And then the people that went before me and everything, they all got to say their name, their major, and even extras. And me and another girl noticed that she was pulling the mic down super fast for some Black people. I don't want to be that person, but that was the tea. So, I mean, I just couldn't let that happen, because I just feel like I worked so hard to graduate and went through so much shit to graduate. that I just felt like I had to reclaim my moment. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not a problematic person. I don't want to ruin no one's day. I don't want to violate anybody, but that's what she did. She didn't even let me finish speaking. She put the mic down, cut me off, and that was the only time I was able to speak. So I just feel like that wasn't right. So here's my story time. Basically,
So you felt like it wasn't right that she cut you off, or you claim that she didn't give you enough time to say your name, and you thought you supposed to say a speech. Um, have anyone ever? I've graduated twice in college. Okay, so one with my bachelor's degree and one with my master's degree, and depending on the size of the college, normally this wasn't even normal. Normally they say the name for you. They, whatever engineering or whatever school you're in, they say they'll tell all the school of that particular profession that's graduating, go up and line up, and then they say your name really fast. You normally just don't even get the mic. So I don't know what school she graduated from, but that's not even normal anyway. But then you're mad because you didn't get to say hello to my mama and daddy. Like, that's just ridiculous. And not only that, okay, so say for instance she did pull the mic away. Everyone sees you. So you thought it was normal for you to wrestle an old lady? You're wrestling with somebody's grandma. Like, and you said what you said, then you throw the mic down. And then you tried to say that this lady was being racist. That's basically what you said. She was just doing this all to all the black people. But there were plenty of black people in the graduating class. And I have a clip for you, because after she said this, everybody, I guess whoever was at that graduation, pulled up, taped that clip of whoever they was taping. And it shows that everybody just said their name. You had some people said more than the name, but everybody just said the name and kept on moving. So you're saying this lady was racist, and she was just doing it to black people. I don't understand that. The right thing is the new wrong. Laugh out loud. Yeah. A Liberty Twitcher said, why would you be wrong for that opinion? I don't know. People call you people. If you don't agree with the blackness of the culture and all that hood stuff, people would, they call you names. And when you call people out for their ignorant ass bullshit, they call you names. They get really mad at you. You don't agree with reparations. You anti-black. It's just, I don't neither disagree or agree with reparations, to tell you the truth. I just think it's a waste of time. But Liberty Twitcher also says, but what are the social dynamics that make her think that what she did was acceptable behavior? Hey, our social dynamics is, hey, black people can't be racist, and it's our time to shine. You got some people that just want to shit on white people too. Reverse, what they call it, reverse racism is racism. Reverse racism is racism. Since you held me back for, I guess, centuries, that's, people like that victim card to pull. You held me back for centuries, so this is my time. So I'm just gonna shit on whoever ain't for black people, or whoever ain't black. I'm just gonna shit on you. Ken Active Kind, college free ride 3.8, then paid me OSU, AIDS now 660. You went to OSU. Okay, that's Ohio State University, I'm assuming. All right, I'm Michigander, so. So yeah, We got this. Now, this other one I want to this is basically what happened, okay, at the ceremony. And this is the same lady who's holding the mic up. You see, there's plenty of black people or non-white people in that line. It's plenty of them. So, but she's claiming she did it to everybody.
John Booth, Amy Gomez, Angelica Kiara Villar, Gina Abulelo, Amoya Doily, Alessandra Robertson, Janelle Wellington. Big up Jamaica!
So you see they had two lines, and I have another video. This other lady is gonna explain what happened because she was actually in the line at the graduation. But they had two lines, A and B line, and she was going back and forth. You see more people said their name, and they had some long names in that crowd. But the lady, she's saying that she was racist. She felt like she was just doing it to black people. Three syllables in her name. I'm assuming it's her first name, but okay, that's probably normal, you know. Not three syllables, but probably two syllables. But then if you add people last name, some people last name got about 5 syllables in their last name. So what are you talking about? And we just proved that wrong because nobody said they majors. Most people just said their first and last name and kept it pushing. And someone said, hey, big ups to Jamaica. She was pulling down the mic super fast for some black people. Now, do we see what she sees?
John Booth, Amy Gomez, Angelica Kiara Villar, Gina Abulelo, Amoya Doily, Alessandra Robertson, Janelle Wellington. Big up Jamaica!
I don't see it. I don't see it. But this is her claim. This is what she's claiming. This is her claim. And it sounds like that she just wanted her few minutes of her fame, but she is trying to play the race card, and she says, sorry, I don't want to be one of those people. Well, you are one of those people. Everything is not about race. Everything doesn't have to be about race. How about we got about 1,000 people that got to say their name, and we're not trying to have a 6-hour-long graduation. How about that? Anyway, so this one, I believe this young lady is going to explain it.
So, here's my story time. Basically,
There was two sections, section. Basically, there was two sections, section A and section B, and within those two sections, there was two long lines, and we were told to say our names when we approached the lady in the video, to say our names within the mic, but she didn't know any of our names to know whether or not it was long, short, how many syllables, XYZ. She didn't know to hold it a certain way, how long, none of that. So basically, there was people who did say other things extra other than their name. But there weren't just one race. There was a lot of people of all races, saying other things other than the race. But we wasn't told to say our major, any of that. We were just really told to say our first and last name. I also have said things extra than my first and last name. I said I love my mama, and some girl before me who was also a chocolate girl said big up Jamaica. Um, so I don't see where this, because we're black and all this other things that's coming into play. Um, I also believe that she did that because it was a little white old lady. If it wasn't anybody else, I don't believe she would have done that. She would have took her L and would have walked. If that was the case, if that really happened. Also, the mic was never handed to us for it to get snatched. The lady was going back and forth to each line, because remember there was two lines with a person, and going back and forth, going to each person like this to say their names. So it wasn't no pause for somebody to hold the mic to say their name, to take it back or anything. So she wanted her moment. She got her moment. That's what she was looking for, a moment. But I would say that graduation was not the best graduation. It wasn't a proper graduation. We didn't go on stage. We didn't. They didn't hand us our diploma. I do think that part of the graduation was stolen, but it wasn't that name stuff. I feel like she made the graduation her graduation, not everybody else's graduation. But I do think they should do next year, for the next people, do better, because that was not a proper graduation, and I don't think anybody deserved that for the hard work they put in for school.
So yeah, so she was actually at the graduation, even though she said the graduation wasn't all that, and she didn't particularly like it, but she said that this girl was actually being a nuisance. She thought that if it was anybody else holding that microphone, she probably wouldn't have did that. So she was looking for her fame, and for her to call out uh, this lady, oh, she's just doing it to some black people or just all black people. No. How about she's trying to move you guys along? How about that? And why do we celebrate this kind of nonsense? Why do we do this? You know, we celebrate this kind of nonsense. Nonsense. And we expect her to, oh, she got her degree, but who's going to hire her after she's seeing doing this crazy stuff? And you're trying to act like, and if you had a job, you probably lost it, because the company will see that, and they probably like, okay, she doesn't get along with others. Or when things go wrong with her, she ends up acting out, like have a temper tantrum. She's not a grown person, because grown people don't act like that. And then you got some people saying it's a big publicity stunt. She's trying to promote something else, but maybe not. I'm not for sure how true that is, but this is really nonsense. And for that Black News Week celebrity news to say, oh, we need to support this queen. No, we don't. We need to protect her at all costs. No, we don't. No, we don't. Somebody needs to check her. If her mama there, her mom should say something to her. Her dad should say something to her. And her friends, like, girl, you need to just calm down. But that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that. I guess she thought that she was entitled over all the people. Probably so. A lot of unaware persons that don't hear themselves before they speak or think before you act. That's true. Tracy said the mic drop girl made it clear that she wanted all about her and no one else. She was not standing up for Black people. No, she was making us look ignorant. And like I said, if who could call this out? You get mad for other Black people calling out other Black people BS, but this is some BS. We all should be calling out this kind of BS and not tolerating this. So our next story that I want to talk about is Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, after his plea deal, he went out celebrating at that White House. What kind of privilege would you have to avoid jail time for tax evasion and gun charges and being under the influence of drugs? And then he probably had drugs on him. Who do you have to be to avoid that kind of stuff? Apparently Hunter Biden, because Hunter Biden was at the White House dinner, state dinner, last night, rubbing elbows with everybody. All the Democratic people, senators alike, anybody that had some type of political affiliation was at the White House last night. Let me
Distinguished guests, please make your way to your seats. Dinner will begin shortly. Thank you.
whoever feels like support they follow.
Distinguished guests, please make your way to your seats. The dinner will begin shortly. Thank you.
Yeah, you see, Hunter Biden. He was at the White House with his wife. His wife is named Melissa Cohen. I guess she's a filmmaker. But what kind of privilege do you need to evade tax evasion or avoid jail time for tax evasion and some drug charges? He got away with a slap on the wrist. And the White House was questioned about this. And, you know, of course, Pierre, she avoided the actual question, because that's what she does. She avoided the actual question for about 3 or 4 minutes. And they would, you know, they wouldn't let up off of him or off of her because she didn't want to answer the question. Let me see if I could find that clip real quick. I thought I saved it. And instead of answering the question, and I guess some text messages came up and they said Biden was present when these text messages came up when they questioned him. and she couldn't answer that question either. You know, what type of privilege do you need to have to avoid jail time?
Into the thinking and decision making of why the president decided to invite.
I'm just not going to get into family discussion, personal family discussion. As you know, Hunter is his son. I'm just not going to get into
Let me
it.
ask you this: if Hunter Biden wasn't the president's son, would he have invited someone who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors
Well,
2 days earlier?
a couple of things. Again, that's his son. He's a family member. It is.
I'm sorry.
Just not going to get
Let
into
me
it.
ask you this: if Hunter Biden wasn't the president's son, would he have invited someone who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors 2
Well,
days earlier?
a couple of things. Again, that's his son. He's a family member. It is not uncommon for family members to attend events at the White House. You could look at past presidents. I'm sure you have. So that is not uncommon. As it relates to anything related to Hunter, I'm just not going to respond to it from here.
Can I follow up on that?
Okay. No, I just called in somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Kirby wouldn't answer James's question, though. Are you going to answer the question? I mean, it's not an unreasonable question to ask whether the President of the United States was involved, as this message seems to suggest, in some sort of a coercive conversation for business dealings by his son. Is that something, if he wasn't, then maybe you should tell us.
So here's the thing, and I appreciate the question. I believe my colleague at the White House Counsel has answered this question already, has dealt with this, has...
She's not going to answer the question. It doesn't matter how you pose the question. She's not going to answer it. And she's saying she's passing it off to the White House Counsel, saying, "Oh, I believe they already answered this question." Well, you answer it again. We're here. We're not at the. They're not here. We're asking you. And she refuses, and she's going to get mad.
Made it very clear. I just don't have anything to share outside of what my colleagues have shared, and so I would refer you to him and the DOJ. Just not going to comment from here.
Text message.
I will. What I can tell you is I know that my colleague has dealt with this. He addressed this at the White House Counsel. I just don't have anything else to share. I just answered the question. I just answered the question.
No, you didn't. Yes or no? Was the president involved in the shakedown attempt?
Stephen, I just answered the question. It's not up to you how I answer the question. I just answered the question by telling you my colleagues at the White House Counsel has dealt with this, and I would refer you to them. Go ahead.
Can you just remind us what your colleague said from the White House Counsel so we have it?
I would refer you to them, and they will share their statement with all of you.
My question is about your statements from that podium. You've stated that the president stands by his comment from the 2020 campaign that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with his son. And you stood at that podium and you reaffirmed that. Do you stand by your reaffirmation?
What I will say is nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And I will leave it there. Anything else, I will refer you to the White House Counsel.
This is not a change?
I just answered the question. You just asked me, does my statement change? I just told you nothing has changed. That's answering the question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The president was there 2 days
Go ahead,
prior.
Stephen. I'm calling on your colleague right now. Go ahead.
Thank you. To follow up on my colleague, is there anything that you can say with regard to this text message and what the...
I don't know why she's so mad that they're doing their job. This is the First Amendment, right? Right to freedom of press, or whatever the language says. And you're the White House press secretary. Okay, there's a shitstorm in the White House. You are responsible to navigate the shitstorm. You know these types of questions are going to be asked. Why can't you answer them? And of course, over and over again, she stonewalls people and say, "Oh, I'm not going to answer that. Oh, I will refer you to the White House Counsel." Like, why are you even here? Are you just a body just to be on camera? To say, "Oh, I'll refer you to somebody else," or "I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to answer that question." She does this every day, saying she doesn't want to answer the question. Only thing she wants to tell people about how everybody should be brave and strong and prideful. That's what she really talks about, oh, we should be lifting up the LGBTQ community. But any other questions, if it's tough, she doesn't want to answer it.
Who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors
Well,
2 days earlier.
a couple of things.
By his comment from the 2020 campaign that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with his son. And you stood at that podium and you reaffirmed that. Do you stand by your reaffirmation?
What I will say is nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And I will leave it there. Anything else, I will refer you to the White House counsel.
This is not a change?
I just answered the question. You just asked me, does my statement change? I just told you nothing has changed. That's answering the question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The
Go
president was
ahead.
there 2 days
Go ahead,
prior.
Stephen. I'm calling on your colleague right now. Go ahead.
Thank you. To follow up on my colleague, is there anything that you can say with regard to this text message and what the president's son was alleging? Was the president there or not?
I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House counsel. They have addressed this, and I refer you to them. Go ahead.
Karine, have you spoken to the president about this? Have you asked him whether he was there with his son on July 30th?
This is not a conversation that I've had with the president. Again, I would refer you to the White House counsel.
Do you plan to have that conversation with the president?
No.
Did the president speak with the attorney general at all
I
last
can't.
night at the state dinner?
I cannot say if the president had a conversation with the attorney general last night. What I can refer you to is the White House counsel's office as it relates to the allegations. They've already addressed this. This is something for them to deal with. I refer you to the Department of Justice on anything else if you don't want to speak to the White House counsel's office.
And there was
So you see that, you guys, breaking news. This is live. See, I just found something and we already knew this. So Karine, she's not going to answer the question. I don't even know why they even show up. Somebody put on here, yeah, the press, they have no backbone. Yeah, when it comes to, because they're all Democratic, they're all liberal press. When it comes to you know, since she is, Biden's press secretary, they're gutless and have no backbone. They afraid to push back. And probably because what happened to that one guy, Simon Ateba, the African gentleman, news reporter that's over here, she did him dirty. So they probably don't want the same thing to happen to him or them, Anyway, so like I said, breaking news. I just found the article and we kind of already knew this. Let me share it with you. This is saying, is it sharing, you guys? Oh, let me cancel. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Something, my stream kicked me out. Hello? Yeah, YouTube did shut me down. Okay. Oh, great, you guys. I think YouTube, it's probably bad weather somewhere, but YouTube probably kicked me off or whatever happened. I want to share you guys share this with you. This is basically breaking news. This article was just released yesterday. And they're talking about two whistleblowers. Two whistleblowers allege sweeping misconduct in the Hunter Biden tax investigation. That's what these new transcripts shows. And they're saying that the investigation, according to the GOP House Ways and Means Committee chairman and newly released transcripts of the congressional interviews with the whistleblowers. Earlier this week, Biden agreed to enter a guilty pleas for two misdemeanor tax charges that was related to the failure of tax on more than $3 million in income as a part of a deal with Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss. He was appointed by Donald Trump and was kept in the position by the current administration to continue the probe. Biden will avoid full prosecution on a separate gun charge. A Delaware judge must approve the agreement at the hearing, currently set for July the 26th. So the whistleblower name is Gary Shapley, who recently spoke exclusively with CBS News' Jim Axelrod, told congressional investigators the IRS finding supports more several penalties. This recommended felony tax evasion charges. That's 7201 is a tax evasion. Is false tax return. So he filed false tax returns, you guys. Was also a felony. He filed false tax returns in 2014, 18, and 19. Failure to file and pay for 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. For about 10 years, you lying. Either on your taxes or you didn't pay anything, or you didn't file at all. The testimony we just released details a lack of U.S. attorney independence, reoccurring unjustified delays, unusual actions outside the normal course of any investigation, Chairman Jason Smith told reporters. The testimony shows that the U.S. attorney in Delaware, David Weiss, tried to bring charges in the District of Columbia around March of 2022. It was denied, Smith asserted. Weiss sought special counsel status from the Justice Department in spring of 2022 and once again was denied. Weiss sought to bring charges in the Central District of California in fall of 2022 and had a request denied in January of 2023. So Weiss was actually sound like he was doing his job, but they said, no, we're not going to do it. You know, they didn't want to bring charges on him because, you know, he has the privilege of being the vice president's son and the president's son. So as the spokesperson for Weiss declined to comment, but earlier this month in a letter to Representative Jen Jordan, the GOP chairman was of the Judiciary Committee. I have been granted ultimate authority over this matter, including responsibility to decide where, when, and whether to file charges. Throughout my tenure as the U.S. Attorney, my decisions have been made and with respect to the matter must be made without reference to political consideration. In a statement issued Thursday, the Justice Department said, as both the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney David Weiss have said, U.S. Attorney Attorney Weiss has full authority over this matter. including responsibility for deciding where, when, and whether the file charges has been deemed appropriate. He needs to no further approval to do so. It says 2 interviews to do not make an investigation when more than 50 employees were named, especially when you consider that one rancid key element or recanted, look, I can't read, recanted key element of his testimony earlier this week. It says Democrat Richard Neal wrote after the release of the interview transcripts, it's all premature, and the rush shows how pretextual this is in this stunning abuse of power. So they're just, I called it when I went online. What was that, Tuesday or Wednesday? I said, normally when you get caught out with tax evasion, it's not a misdemeanor. It's usually a felony. And this dude had 10 years of felony charges. And he got only, and usually it's a felony charge for each year. They don't usually lump it up in one. Each offense is a felony charge. Each year, you got to file taxes each year. It's a felony charge. So how did he get charged with a misdemeanor? Because he's President Biden's son. Okay, so this is something with the text messages, I believe. In his congressional interviews, Shapely also alleged that they have incurred a WhatsApp message from Hunter Biden's dated July 30th of 2017 that was addressed to a Chinese businessman with whom he was involved at the same time about an outstanding payments. And in this text message, it said, I am sitting here with my father. We would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. They're talking about money. Hunter Biden allegedly wrote, according to the transcript, he added, I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand. Now means tonight. They saying, bring me my damn money. You have access to my father. Bring me my damn money. Wire it to me. Send it by telegram. Send your courier over on my private plane. I want my money. I want my payment. That $5 million, you owe me $2.5 million. And he claimed Biden was in the room. That's what he said in his text message. So was Biden in the room? Like, now, you know what? Let's play the devil's advocate. Okay, you guys let me know what you think. Now, you a big time, whatever. You the president, and you got your knucklehead son. And your knucklehead son, they like to name drop. You got one son that like to name drop. I know if I became rich or famous, probably my youngest son would be like, you know who I am? That's my youngest son. He would probably be name dropping, So maybe he has that kind of son, to, get he really don't have any special talent or special skills. So he's going to name drop his Joe Biden. And that's how he get deals done or make money. So, like I said, devil's advocate. Maybe Joe Biden wasn't aware. Maybe he was just dropping his name and like he always do. I wouldn't be surprised that they wouldn't ever uncover a whole bunch of stuff throughout Joe Biden's career that Hunter Biden used his name. And Joe Biden didn't know about it. That just be me and devil's advocate. You guys let me know. Do you think that could really happen? So Joe Biden was supposedly in the room while he text messaged this Chinese businessman saying, hey, you owe me a payment and I want it tonight. That's basic in layman's term. You owe me a payment now means tonight. Because we about to go to blows because you owe me some money. In a statement, Shapley said of the now public transcript, I believe Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate should come together to examine these facts by interviewing other witnesses and reviewing documents to fully understand what happened during this 5-year-long investigation. We don't need to examine it. The public opinion matters. We know you guys didn't want to charge him, especially prior to Biden getting elected. If this would have came to light, this probably would have really ruined the chance of Joe Biden getting elected. You know, we have never Trumpers out there. Trump probably would have won the election again. But I think this would have been like, nah, they didn't really trust Joe Biden then. So, you know, people just was like, oh, okay, he's the lesser of two evils. You thought, or we thought, like Joe Biden. And then we got this nut job in the White House. Okay. So I fulfilled my oath of office by participating in this process, following the rules, and telling the truth to the best of my ability, despite the risks. And this was Shapley said. Did you? Because if you did, well, you know, he's probably right. He probably was scared. You know, you can't push too hard. You got the president's son. You about to bring charges on the president's son, so you can't push too hard, right? The White House referred CBS News to an earlier statement to reiterate only that the president has not been involved in the investigation into his son. Yeah, right. We know that's a lie. We know that's a lie. President Biden has made it clear that this matter will be handled independently by the Justice Department under the leadership of the U.S. attorney appointed by the former President Trump. But you guys stop him on every turn. He already revealed that. Free from any political interference by the White House. Yeah, right. Again, the statement said he has upheld that commitment. And it says CBS News asked Hunter Biden's legal team for comment, and there was no immediate response because they're not going to comment. They're not going to comment on none of this stuff. And now, if you take a look at this article, this is on CBS. They do have the White House transcripts on here, and it's about 200 pages a piece. And you know, so it basically revealed that the mishandling, and they just didn't, you know, didn't charge this guy with the right crime. And it's all because he's the president's son. So, you know, all the other people, we want them to uphold the law, but oh, if it's your son, he's okay. He could be a crack smoking, baby making, illegitimate kid, baby making, avoid tax payments person. Because he's the president's son. He doesn't have to follow the rules. Because I'm the president's son, I don't need to follow the rules. I don't need to follow the rules. So, how could that kid be put on the board of an oil company in Ukraine with no experience? Because my daddy is President Joe Biden or Vice President. Tracy said, Hunter and all the other Bidens, none of them talk to Joe, devil's advocate. Yeah, that's what I said, Tracy. I think maybe, well, devil's advocate again. Joe, he ain't in his right mind. And Hunter probably does it so frequently. He's probably been using his daddy name since he's been in the White House. I mean, in Congress, really. Do you know who my daddy is? Just imagine. Now, if you grew up privileged, that's something that you are used to. You're used to doing that kind of stuff, especially if your parents always covered stuff up that you did that was unlawful for years. They covered up all your indiscretions. So you don't know really. Well, you do know right from wrong, but you like, oh, I got my mama and daddy. They're going to cover it up for me. Robert Jordan, Martha Stewart was put in jail for lesser charges. Yeah, you got Martha Stewart, Wesley Snipes, Ron Isley. All those people with tax evasion got caught up not paying their taxes or didn't file for years. All them people. And we can't say that this is normal and customary. Oh yeah, we can't even find anybody that got off with a misdemeanor for tax evasion. You guys let me know what celebrity, even like celebrities, I guess you could call them, they're elite and privileged, but they threw them in jail. So it's like, I guess they made an example out of them. For the normal everyday people, don't play with us, because if we throw Blade, Wesley Snipes in jail, we're going to throw your ass in jail. I'm trying to look for okay, yeah. So this is, let me share this tab with you guys. These are all the celebrities. I just Googled this. All the celebrities convicted for tax evasion. Now, some of them probably served jail time. Some of them probably didn't. But you got Martha Stewart. We knew that. They said she owed more than well, it didn't really say. A few things. On taxes is something you can't count on. While celebrities offers lead privileged lives due to their wealth and status, the IRS doesn't roll out the red carpet for the elites. Yes, you do. We could now say celebrities, Hunter Biden, I guess you could say he's a celebrity, but he's a political celebrity. You only roll out the carpet for elites that have political ties if they mama and daddy is in the White House. Celebrities or anyone who earns more than $500,000 a year are in one of the two groups of taxpayers that are more likely to be audited by the IRS, according to the IRS data reported by the U.S. News. Unfortunately, some of the celebrities have learned the hard way that they're not above the law. You know, so whoever narrated this was back in February of 2023. They might want to change that narration because celebrities do get off from tax evasion. Then Wesley Snipes, they said he got convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts. He got convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts. Of failing to file taxes from 1999 to 2001 and sentenced to 3 years on misdemeanor. They wasn't playing around with him. They said he kept $7 million in taxes. Blade was sentenced to 3 years in Pennsylvania federal prison. He began serving in 2010 before he released a house arrest in 2013. That's messed up. Mike the Situation. That's that guy from Jersey Shore. It says that he pled guilty for tax evasion in 2018. Failing to pay taxes in full on nearly $9 million in earnings. He was sentenced to 8 months in prison. Stephen Baldwin. They said he wasn't deliberate when he for the tax avoidance. And they said he dodged jail time. They didn't say what he was. Well, I guess they didn't say what they charged him with, but they said, I guess he misfiled 2008, 2009, and 2010, totaling of $400,000. That's what he owed the IRS. Ja Rule, he pled guilty for tax evasion, a felon to file tax return of more than $3 million in income reported. He was sentenced to 28 months in prison. Daryl Strawberry, he earned more than $500,000. Fat Joe, he was sentenced to 4 months in prison. He owed $718,000, or he paid back before he went to jail. He paid $718,000 back in taxes. Joe Francis, and remember Joe Francis, where he was withheld $500,000 in interest income and bribed jail workers. He was the founder of Girls Gone Wild. Yeah, you guys remember that show? And so I guess this was residual income. $500,000 in interest income, and he bribed jail workers. He had to pay nearly $250,000 in restitution, and he was sentenced to 301 days in jail. And I guess he got time served in 1 year of probation. Lauryn Hill, she did 3 months for tax evasion. She had to pay nearly $1.8 million in taxes. I think they didn't give her time out. I don't know. I think she was pregnant at the time. But so they probably didn't give her a lot of jail time. Teresa and Giudice, remember them? They're the Italians that was on what is it, the Housewives show? They was convicted of tax fraud. And I remember Joe and Teresa, they both served jail time Teresa, I think she did her time first, then Joe did it next. Teresa pled guilty to 4 counts and Joe pled guilty to 5 counts, including not filing income taxes. Teresa was sentenced to 15 months in prison and Joe was 41 months in prison. And the couple was ordered to pay $414,000 in restitution. After serving 11 months of her sentence, Teresa was released from prison. So Joe got deported to Italy after completing his prison term. Dang, they broke their whole, well, I think they was divorced or in the middle of divorce, but that's kind of bold. They just deported him. And I think he was a contractor. I think he built buildings and stuff. So I guess it doesn't matter what you do for, what kind of living you make. The IRS want their money or they're gonna deport you. Heidi Fleiss, she was sentenced to 37 months in prison. She was a Hollywood madam. Sophia Loren, she's spent 17 days or 30 days. They even go on as small as 17 days. This dude, he didn't serve not one day. Is he going to get probation? What is he? No, he's able to freely travel across the world. And I'm speaking of Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is free to go in and out. He's free to go in and out the country. And we're saying that oh, let me go back to that. That was that. Yeah, he's free to go in or out to the country and not serve one jail time. And he's at the White House party. This is, he's shaking hands like, oh, everything is fine. I avoided jail time. A man that he doesn't care about the United States because he's making deal with China. And he's on the board of Ukraine fuel company or oil company. Like, and what kind of, are you a scientist? Like, are you a reservoir engineer? Like, what kind of, background do you have besides being Joe Biden's son? But we voted for this. This corruption, we voted for this. Some people might say, oh, he didn't run for office. Yeah, he did. His daddy's been in office for so long, it's going to be a reflection of your dad. So everything you do, people are going to look at you and say, hey, this is what Joe Biden raised. Hunter Biden, the crackhead, the baby maker, and you don't want to claim your babies that you made with the prostitute. Well, I wouldn't say, I think she was a stripper, right? Chuck Berry, he did 120 days of federal prison and 1,000 hours of community service. Richard Hatch, he did 51 months of prison. He failed to report $1 million of earnings. And he didn't file or pay it back or whatever and pay his 2001. He failed to do it because that's what one of his stipulations. He didn't do it. So they sent him back to jail. Disgraced baseball legend Pete Ross was convicted of tax evasions in the 90s. He was sentenced to 5 months in jail and fined $50,000. Dolce and Gabbana. Their conviction was overturned in 2004, but before that, the designers were entangled in a tax nightmare, according to the Wall Street Journal. The 2013 duo was convicted of failing to file tax returns for the company in Italy. Prosecutor claimed that they owed taxes for 2004 sales of the company's main luxury Luxembourg-based Gatto, according to the Business Focus newspaper. And Ty Warner pled guilty of tax evasion 2013. 96 to 2007, Warner failed to report at least $24 million of interest income from Swiss banks to the IRS, which allowed him to evade at least $5.6 million in taxes, according to the publication. He also didn't file the required FBAR reports on the foreign accounts of the U.S. Treasury. So Warner agreed to pay $16 million back in taxes and interest and $53 million in penalties. Dang, he paid. He agreed to that. So, but he managed to avoid jail time despite the U.S. sentencing guidelines, which was called for 46 to 57 months. He was instead sentenced to 2 years of probation and $500 or 500 hours of community service. So Ty Warner, since he paid, they probably like, okay, we know you can afford it, so we're gonna tax you up to what, $53 million in penalties. That's really ridiculous. Leona Hemsley, she convicted in 92. She evaded 1.7 million in taxes. She was sentenced to 4 years of prison and 750 hours of community service. She only served 21 months. Remember Martha Stewart is on here again because of her trading scandal back in at the tune of 220,000. She didn't even owe taxes, but she spent more than half a year inside of jail, which doesn't make any sense. Nicolas Cage is another. I think she did more jail time. I don't know if this is right. Nicolas Cage, he was in tax trouble. It says he paid over 70 million in taxes, but he still owed 14 million. Dang, he paid 70 million. Just imagine writing a check for $70 million. Like, you didn't pay us enough. You still owe us 14 million. You'd be like, God, what kind of crap is this? The IRS, they want their money. But I always say, I remember one year, my tax woes is never like this, but every year, especially before I had kids, I used to owe every year on my taxes. But this is when me and my husband got together. We had a few rental properties. I'm going to get to some of your comments in a minute. We owned a few rental properties, and one of the rental properties we end up selling, but this was the house that we lived in before we bought this house, but he started renting it. But what saved us, always have a CPA. If you have like a whole bunch of side hustles or whatever, you should get a CPA. CPA usually know how to handle things, and always get a CPA that stays abreast of the new tax laws. And luckily we had one, and they came back and they said, oh, you owe $23,000. And so of course, when I saw this letter in the mail, I was like, I got my husband on the phone. I was like, we owe $23,000 on this house, blah, 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 blah. I flipped off, had a panic attack. And my husband was like, okay, well, yeah, I did sell the house. And he was explaining to me. And I was like, well, I'll ask our tax accountant, his name is Dan the Tax Man. I was like, I'll ask him, what can we do? Because we already filed those taxes, but we didn't report this house that we sold. And I didn't even know we sold the house. But anyway, the taxes was the previous year that they were saying. So I always say this, when the IRS says that you owe something, don't go with what they say. You always fight it, because more likely they're wrong. They're just putting it in their machine and they spit out a number. They're not taking into account of all the other entities that you might have. And so I took it to my accountant. He asked us a bunch of questions of what the house was used for, blah, blah, blah. And luckily for us, Trump just passed this thing that we could use for property taxes. And I can't even tell you the tax code. But since it was a per se rental property, we was able to take advantage of that. And actually we overpaid the IRS. It came back after he made the calculation. The IRS ended up owing us about 11 grand. So they was coming to us saying we owed 23 grand, but after my CPA handled it, we end up getting 11 grand back from taxes. And one thing that helped us is because we had a reputable CPA, So anyway, that was my tax nightmare. And like I said, I usually owe every year, it's nothing new to me. I guess once you start, making a certain amount of money and, earned income credit only does so much, you end up owing, But anyway, that's my tax horror story. If you guys ever owe taxes, I know it can be very annoying. But yeah, just imagine paying $70 million in taxes and they said, oh no, you still owe us 14 million. So that's some bullshit. And I don't know what kind of business dealings. I know Nicolas Cage is a actor, but somebody should say, hey, you should become like a landlord, get a business or something, a nonprofit. You can funnel some of that money to your nonprofit. You could save some money. Anyway, Willie Nelson, a country music icon, got creative in 91 when it came to resolving his tax woes. Nelson owed $16.7 million to the IRS with interest and penalties due to underhanded actions by the accounting firm. But they managed to cut the deal for $6 million to help pay off the debt. He released the album. It was called The IRS Tapes, Who'll Buy My Memoirs. Okay, and they profited the $3.6 million, but you gotta pay taxes on that too. So, but anyway, Toni Braxton, remember her, she filed for bankruptcy. She didn't do any jail time. Mark Anthony, he had a total of $2.5 million of unpaid taxes. Sinbad, he filed for bankruptcy. He owed $8.3 million in back taxes from 98 to 2006. He didn't pay any state or federal tax obligations since 2009. That's crazy. And they don't have this on here. What's the guy's name? Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, he told a story that he owed taxes. So White Sox Tom, he said Red Fox owed millions in taxes. Eddie Murphy bailed him out. Matt Torrance, Peter Rose is a Charlie Hustle. Yeah, he is. Yeah, so taxes is a a problem not to have, you know. But Joe Biden and his son, they're able to avoid prison time. And we just read in this article that they was these are all felony penalties that he should have got, and he didn't. He 10 years, literally 10 years. Let's go back to this article. Tax evasion and falsifying returns for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 years for either tax evasion, falsifying returns, or failure to pay taxes. So you can't tell me that this guy doesn't hold privilege. And his court, the way his thing turned out, because Joe Biden is in the White House. His court case turned out the way it turned out because Joe Biden's in the White House. And it took 5 years for them to make a decision because Joe Biden was in the White House, or is in the White House. So, you guys, I'm going to let you go. It's 10:23. We've been online for an hour and a half. That's literally longer than what I normally talk your ear off. But yeah, leave a comment in the comment section. You know, we'll see what comes out tomorrow. We probably got some more news tomorrow. I'll try to drop a video on Sunday, you guys. So I am sending all my good to you. Thank you for tuning in once again, and I will talk to you soon.